Walz is out there talking again.
Did you say he could fight any Trump supporter?
Yeah, he says he kicked their ass, and they're scared of him because he could fix.
Now stick with me, because this story gets interesting. Picture Tim Walz scrambling to get back into the spotlight after being pushed aside. To do it, he starts making bold claims about his toughness and manhood. Claims that a lot of people find hard to take seriously. He talks like he's some kind of action movie hero. That's where Joe Rogan comes in, and honestly, he's the perfect reality check. Rogan breaks down Walz's comments with sharp humor, picking apart every overblown claim in his trademark, no-nonsense style. The best part is, he doesn't hold back. Plenty of others have noticed it too. Walz trying to prove how tough he is, whether by bragging about physical feats, or even turning basic things like working on a truck into a big show.
About Biden and Kamala, what do you think you do if you're either of them now? Like, Trump's just running ragged, flying high, having all of this fun. What are they doing? Like, what do you do when you've lost two people have lost a campaign in the space of 6 months?
I don't know. Tim Walz is out there talking again.
Did you say he could fight any Trump supporter?
Yeah, he says he kicked their ass, and they're scared of him because he could fix a truck. Because they're threatened by his mask.
The public reaction has been a mix of confusion and laughter. A lot of people can't believe how over the top it all sounds. Walz seems to be doing everything he can to stay relevant after a major loss. Instead of facing reality, he doubles down with even more crude and exaggerated comments. Rogan, meanwhile, calmly and confidently breaks those claims apart, exposing how empty they really are. And stay with me, because political missteps aren't the end of the story. What really matters is how people like Joe Rogan manage to make politics both entertaining and honest.
I know how to fix a truck. So he said, like, do you? I bet you don't.
The lady doth protest too much.
I bet you don't.
I fear.
I bet if I bring a broken truck to you and a bag of tools, you're fucked.
That was kind of the redress, right? That was the attempt. It was like, we're gonna the symbol of masculinity on the left is going to be Tim Walz. It was Aragon from Lord of the Rings, and Tim Walz.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I think they're lost. I mean, they're also lost in that they can't control the narrative.
Before we continue, do us a quick favor and hit subscribe if you enjoy original content that challenges the norm without losing its edge. No pressure. I'll wait right here. Alright, welcome back, you legends. Now let's get into it. Tim Walz is back in Joe Rogan's crosshairs, and Rogan has never been one to hold back when something sounds ridiculous. Walz recently made some controversial comments, bragging about fixing trucks, and even suggesting he could take on a fan. Honestly, it comes across as an awkward attempt to look tough after losing the election. The whole thing feels forced and confusing, and it's the kind of talk that makes you stop and really question what point he's actually trying to make.
Tim Walz, that Tim Walz cocksucker, if that guy got into power, like if Kamala died and Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, was our president, you know how crazy this country would be? That weirdo who puts tampons in the boys' room, and what about our joy? Like, he's a complete pathological liar. Like a complete liar. Lied about being in Tiananmen Square. Lied about being a fucking head coach of a football.
Rogan jumped on it right away, pointing out how strange and disconnected those claims sound. He got straight to the point, breaking down Walz's remarks with the blunt honesty and sharp humor his audience expect. His method is simple. Take big claims, test them, and see which ones actually hold up. Not many do. Honestly, it's both funny and a little sad to watch a political figure try to stay relevant with inflated tough guy talk. Rogan made it clear that Walz would be better off focusing on issues that actually affect everyday Americans instead of putting on a toughness act for attention. That's where Rogan really shines. His ability to cut through the noise and speak in a way that feels real helps people see his influence, even if they don't agree with him on everything. So what's going through Tim Walz's mind right now? Probably a mix of embarrassment and frustration after such a major loss. With his campaign over, he seems to be grabbing at anything that might keep him in the conversation.
Bugs me in a way that is probably unhealthy. And, but I have to be careful about being a smartass. I was making a joke. These people have no sense of humor. They are the most literal people. But my point was they're all mad, and I, said something I didn't, probably shouldn't have about a company. He is.
Some people see him as just flailing around, while others think he's trying to hold on to what little dignity he has left. Sure, there's something almost funny about such an awkward attempt to project confidence, but at the same time, that level of desperation is hard to watch. Then Joe steps in, and suddenly it's about more than just getting laughs. He points to a deeper issue. Walz' tough talk and truck-fixing stories don't line up with what people are actually dealing with. Flashy displays of bravado mean very little when families are worried about the economy, rising crime, and simply trying to make ends meet.
Agreed. So I make the case, they're all butthurt about the Tesla thing, but they don't care the disrespect they have shown to employees at the Minneapolis VA who care for our veterans, and they fire them. They don't care.
And Rogan makes that disconnect impossible to ignore. He drives home a key point. Real leadership isn't about flashy political theater. It's about building genuine connections with the people you represent. This isn't just a joke or a cheap shot. It's a serious critique of shallow strategies that distract from real issues. What really stands out is the clear difference between politics that feels like a performance and leadership that actually means something. Walz either misses that line or chooses to ignore it. And for a lot of listeners, Joe's message about authenticity hits home.
So we will have the conversation about efficiency in government and about doing that, but none of us believe for a second they're thinking about this. Oh, we fired everybody that's dealing with Ebola. And then he went into the Oval Office wearing a hat. I don't ever want to hear anybody talk about decorum and respect or that. Wearing a hat, coming in there, richest man in the world. Again, this maybe just me. If I'm the richest man in the world, I'm like out on the streets handing out the money. It'd be fun as hell just to help people out. Go help people.
Today, a lot of frustration comes from politicians who spend more time making bold claims than solving real problems that affect everyday life. You could even say Rogan's take goes beyond humor. It works like a wake-up call. It's almost ironic that his podcast often sounds more grounded than much of the political talk we hear everywhere else. And that brings us to the bigger picture. Exaggerated stories aren't new for Walz. Remember when he suggested he was involved in the Tiananmen Square protests? Or when he claimed to be a high school football coach? Those stories never really added up.
Walz said, like, the American people, I talk like they do. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're a huge liar, like all politicians are. I don't care, by the way. I've always said this about politics. They're all going to lie. They're politics. It's what they lie about. I don't give a shit what you did during the Iraq War. You were in the Guard. So I don't understand why they just can't. You're just insulting my intelligence. When she said, what did you say when Biden called you and said he wasn't running? Well, I immediately thought of him first.
By pointing out the inconsistencies and stressing the value of honesty, Rogan tackles these shortcomings head on. And who's better suited for that than someone open-minded? Agree with him or not, it's hard to deny that he's upfront about his beliefs, and that kind of transparency is exactly what people want from leaders. Rogan also shines a light on a bigger issue. Politicians disconnected from reality, trapped in their own echo chambers. He questions claims, adds context, and pokes fun at fake performances, making people pay closer attention to what they're being told. And honestly, isn't it refreshing to hear someone say, let's pause and really think about this? In today's media landscape, hearing independent perspectives like that is more important than ever.
Not operating at a particularly high intelligence level, if I'm just calling it like I see it here. You know, there actually are some moderate-ish Democrats who are not going like full, complete, utter, disgusting jerk when it comes to the issue of Tesla. So, for instance, Rogan, who comes from Silicon Valley, he plays footsie with a lot of the big tech bigwigs. You know, he had an interview this past week, Rita, where he said, I'm not rooting against Tesla. Tesla employs 20,000 people in my district.
Joe's critique of Walz goes far beyond playful teasing. It's a reminder of why it's important to hear multiple perspectives instead of blindly following a single narrative. Honest, uncensored voices matter, especially when so much messaging is polished and controlled. Even if people don't always agree, these voices challenge common assumptions and help keep public conversations grounded. This kind of balance is especially valuable in uncertain times, and it's worth remembering. Joe's interests go beyond politics too.
Okay, thank you for speaking some common sense there. But Tim Walz doesn't really know common sense from the other side of his foot there. I mean, this man speaks dribble, and when he's not speaking dribble, he's speaking far left ideological pablum there. Thank God this man is not the vice president of the United States right there. I mean, frankly, rooting for an iconic American company to fail in this match.
Walls are sharply contrasted by Rogan's perspective. Take Walz's critique of Musk, for example. It focuses on political image rather than real achievements. Rogan points out how Tesla has created jobs and advanced sustainable energy, making it hard to justify blaming Musk while benefiting from those results. That contradiction is impossible to ignore. True leadership means building genuine connections and tackling real issues, not putting on a performance for ego's sake. Watching Walz drift into theatrics instead of substance is frustrating because it's disconnected from what people actually want. Rogan's comedy delivers his critique without wearing out the audience. His sharp quips expose a deeper truth. Outdated political strategies no longer work, and a more aware public won't be fooled by image alone. His advice is simple: stay composed, work hard, and let your actions back up your words. That's how trust is built, and it's why his criticism resonates with anyone who wants leaders focused on real problems instead of just pretending to be tough.